be or not to be, that's the question. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. Put your hearts up and your hands out. Feel the vibes of the earth coming out. Get your feet out in the dirt between your toes. Get the stinky stinks moving up inside your nose. Put your hearts up and your hands out. Listen, Mother Nature's coming out. She's out, she's out, she's out, she's out. She's out, she's out, she's out. Get your brains out of their rudimentary traction. Seek a better upper mental satisfaction. Get your brains out of their rudimentary traction. Just a better upper mental satisfaction. To be or not to be, I repeat the question. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. With your hearts up and your hands out. Now can you feel the power coming out? Feel the vibes up and spread them around. Here are the beats and grooves that make you shake your ass around. Put your hearts up and your hands out. She ain't your baby if she's starting to pout. She ain't if she likes to pout. She ain't if she likes to pout. She ain't your baby if she likes to pout. If she likes to pout. She ain't your baby if she likes to pout. To be or not to be, that's the question. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. To be or not to be, that's the question. Can you hear the funky groove that I mention? To be or not to be, that's the question. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. To be or not to be, that's the question. Can you hear the funky groove that I mention? To be or not to be, it ought to be a question. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. Put your hearts up and your hands out. Feel the vibes of the earth coming out. Get your feet out in the dirt between your toes. Get the stanky stinks moving up inside your nose. Put your hearts up and your hands out. Feel the.
G'day, you mob. Sorry about that. A bit early for burping, but you get one anyway. Fish Tropic first in the chat. Bucket of kudos out in the post to you, Tropico. Crikey. It was early for the one, let alone two. Bob Kayla. Hello, Bob, if you're still there. Cunningly noticed my green screen in the, what do you call it, thumbnail. Paddy Shaddy Paddy. Leave a like for the poor broken bastard. Go on, do it. GRB, g'day, mate. How's it going? BJ, hello. S, g'day. Joel G, kia ora. However you say it in an Australian accent. Oh, you're on house arrest. How come? How come, Joel G? Bit of ISO, is it? Or you been arrested? No going out for you. Two Dougs. G'day, Doug and Doug. Both Dougs. Get a hello. I've bloody just realised. So I'm so out of practice having last week off. Yet here I am, still doing tech 5 minutes in. It's nice, isn't it, BJ? It's very, very similar to the kind of stuff you find out the back of my house. Kind of. Kinda, sorta, kinda. Yeah, we're in mad lockdown too, Joel. Shitty bloody humans, super spreaders, all super spreaders. Speaking of, no, I won't go there. You have to face your applause. You can't look down when the crowd's cheering for you.
Yeah, but like,
I thought I'd let that one go for a while. It's been a while since we've heard all 47 minutes of it. How's it going, love? What's going on?
It's going all right. Well, I have a beverage, and I'm doing drawings. Good check. And I got all my offsprings at home doing school.
Yes, for those foreigners that don't know, we're in another lockdown thanks to crappy humans, entitled, selfish pricks coming from a highly infectious area of the country, spreading it around our neighbourhood as well. But it's been good to see that there's been no further cases in the area, and some of the sewerage systems that they were getting readings in are no longer giving readings. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, but they're not going to just let us out when all of the rest of the state is going. So I reckon we're going to be stuck until the whole place gets under control.
Yeah.
There was actually talk for that they were going to move the border, the Queensland border, because particularly like the Tweed Shire doesn't have any cases, and there are lots of people who work between, around that border area, and so they were going to do that so that all those people could still go to work and travel around and stuff. But what I heard is that a bunch of people went and had a protest to make it happen, and that sort of pushed the Queensland government to say, fuck no, we're not going to do that. You guys can lick it.
I mean, they've spoken for a long time about moving the Queensland border, even before, border closures became an issue, but primarily due to, that Tweed area being a big city and the disruptions that they face. So I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the near future that border gets shifted a little bit further south as that Tweed region continues to grow.
Well, my mum had a house at Ocean Shores, and her neighbours, and this must be 20 years ago, they were petitioning that about them becoming part of the more up there shire. I think that they were the sort of people, though, who are kind of offended about the sort of hippies
and stuff.
Yeah, so they're like, we got to distance ourselves from them. we don't want to be in the same area as those guys. So yeah. So I know that there's been talk for a long time, but little action. But from what I only know, I was talking with my mum, who had been watching it on the news, and she said it looks like the Queensland government saying,
it's
no.
I don't think it's a change they want to make while there's so much upheaval and nonsense going on. But for commercial and career purposes, I think it will happen in the not too distant future. But then again, you get your stalwarts who won't want to change the shape of states and stuff. Might make the cartography look untidy and whatnot.
I think it could be handy in the short term with all of the COVID stuff, though, to do a temporary bubble without having to do a permanent border shift.
G'day, Jason Irizarry. We are. It is compulsory for us to do masks, even on the street now. Sorry, Scungy.
So I read something of the politicians saying that, even if you're out in the bush and you're going for a walk by yourself, you must wear a mask in case you bump into somebody. Truly.
That's an interesting one, that one. Yeah, thanks, Jason. I wish I could say I took it myself, but it's not my own photo. I'm stealing it off someone.
Sorry, can I just say, did you say that Bob was here?
He was early in the chat, but I don't think he's
okay.
I don't think he's currently viewing. He just popped a comment in well before the stream started.
Okay. Sorry to, go off on a different tangent.
G'day, Rico. I'm sure if Bob is around, he'll and you've got words to have with Bob, he'll pop his head in the chat in no time flat.
Yes.
But for now, let's bring this character up. That's all you get. You only get a short burst.
I just get the shortest applause. I like it.
Well, you took last week off, so you haven't deserved it. You haven't earned it.
I was gone. There's nothing I could do.
We were all forced into the week off last week. It was almost serendipitous.
Well, you took the
way.
week off, so
You know, I had valid reasons as well, and Scungy had valid reasons as well. It's like the universe entangled to make.
I
all
doubt
of our
it. You guys are
situations lined up.
locked down. You couldn't even go anywhere.
Yeah, I had other situations going on. I had both of my parents spent a couple of days in hospital that week, and yeah, it was the day before streaming that my dad had come home. So the last Wednesday was a little bit sketchy to be able to sit away from them for too long. And Scungy had no electricity, planned outage for maintenance, so all these things tied in, and we took the week off.
Well, what's the deal with this no electricity? What's that all about?
I think it was
So
just the maintenance.
every now and then, they go and do maintenance, particularly all along the lines, because it's sort of we live in the countryside, but there's areas of bush, where they trees grow over and stuff. So they come along and they disconnect and they do a bunch of work from time to time. And they warn you that you'll have no electricity all day. But it sucks extra for me because my pump that pumps all the water to my taps and my toilet and stuff runs on electricity. So as soon as there's no power, we have no water. I'll warn the kids the power's going out, do all your poos now. Because you won't be able to flush later.
Or you're taking a roll of bog roll to the bush.
Yeah, you gotta have like a bucket of water.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. We'll prepare buckets and bottles of water for, whatever. Fill up the kettle.
Yeah.
Every vessel.
That's pretty smart. That'd be the way to do it.
I haven't seen that GRB. Sling a link. I like Sammy J. He's valid. He's good, funny kid. So I know that you had interruption to your Peru journey for a sad reason.
Oh, yeah.
But did that take away from your journey? How was it?
Was I interrupted to Peru? What are you talking about?
Didn't you have to come home for your dog from Peru, or were you already back in the country by then?
There's no way to come home from Peru for the dog.
Right.
You don't just casually book
just stroll back again.
Yeah. It's 3 flights.
Oh, yeah.
No, I came back and then I was so when I landed here from Peru, I had to drive home, clean everything, get all the germs off of everything, do all my laundry, put it all back in my gear, offload all of my footage, send the footage off, then get in my truck and drive out to go shoot more film at a different location. My dog
G'day,
was
Larry.
sick. My dog wasn't feeling well, so he was staying at the vet. He was in the ICU for the vet. And, my assumption was that he would get better because I thought it probably had something to do with his surgery. Because as you guys know, we had his gallbladder removed and some other stuff because he was not feeling good. And I thought, he was basically going to, I thought he was just having some after effects from the surgery. but he didn't. It wasn't good. It was just not good. So yeah, we had to come back and you know, the nice way to put it is murder my dog so that he wouldn't have to suffer more. You know.
Yeah.
And it's pretty upsetting and it sucks. And, there's nothing you can do about it, though. So I'm not Jesus. I don't know how to do it. But, I was talking about it on the live stream the other day that, it's like the saddest thing, It's like super sad. I was holding him and then, he's still warm. And he was a little bug-eyed weirdo, so his eyes didn't close. His eyes would stay open. And he just, couldn't help think two things. Like he was just gonna wake up, which he didn't, obviously, duh. But it's a weird thought. And then the other thought is like, could I have done more? But. We got all the final bills and stuff today from his surgery and all that. And it's like $4,000. So I don't think there was much more you could do at that point. Plus we had insurance. So, I mean, I feel like we exhausted everything that we could do. He just was old and nobody gets to come back from that. So it's pretty sad, but it is what it is.
That was not intentional.
It's one of the benefits of living on Earth is that everything dies here, so that's pretty rad. It's pretty cool.
We come and we go.
It's a pretty cool feature, I guess, that they put on the Earth thing here. I don't know, which has almost always been one of my arguments for people that are super religious. It's like, hey man, who invented this stupid system? Huh? Like, was it the Jesus's dad or whatever was like, yeah, you guys will all just be here for a while and then everything dies and then the other people will be around and they'll be sad, but then those people will die too, and I'm like, who would have designed this system? This seems counterintuitive,
Yeah, I often consider that the invention of religion came along as a coping mechanism for sadness and mourning.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just expanded and blew out of control from there. But yeah, very, very, very sad.
It is sad,
Yeah.
So
Made me have tears.
Yeah,
yep.
me too. I'm fighting them.
Huh? You're fighting them.
Yeah.
It's easier just to
But,
let them
Yeah, it's my little guy,
It's like-
and I'm pretty upset about it. But I mean, I've been crying a lot, so I don't know. I don't know what else to do other than just be like, all right, got shit to do. Guess I got to go do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't get out of bed for a week when my dog died. I couldn't even stand up for like a week. So it's pretty massive relationship that you have with them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I would like to have just stayed in bed, but couldn't do it,
like you said, stuff to do.
unfortunately.
It's kind
Yeah,
of good to have
and
something to do, though. It's a distraction because otherwise you just sink in it all. It's good to distract yourself with doings, keeping busy.
Oh my God.
See you soon,
Trying to
Larry.
drink water over here. Oh, I inhaled it. Oh man, I'm dying.
There's an Australian politician whose last name is Drinkwater.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that. That's a crazy last name.
I think he might be our land and environment minister.
Really?
But yeah, it's a pretty phenomenal surname, I find. I'm assuming it's one of those translated from native tongue to white man language names, potentially.
Huh. Seems like there's multiple of them.
drink waters.
I'm sure there is.
Actually, I think there might even be 2 politicians in the Australian system that are drink waters. Probably related, minor chance of
Seems
that.
to be. Yeah. I don't know.
Unless it's a father and son combo or something.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just going to refill my glass and I'll be back
Sensible.
in a sec.
Sensible decisions. Pardon me.
So what's going on other than COVID and chaos? You guys don't have the wildfires right now, but we do. So we got that going.
Yeah, it's very smoky across the US, isn't it? Lots of different spots too, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty smoky. It was super smoky in Peru, I'll tell you that.
Just as a rule in general, or was there wildfires there too?
Well, I think they're set by they're by people, mostly. Yeah. They're burning for crops and crop rotation and cutting down
clearing
trees
land and stuff.
Which actually was pretty funny because I was having a lengthy conversation with one of the local fishermen that came with us on the boat, and something that had never really crossed my mind that he was interested in. He was wondering about when all of the leaves turn, yellow and red and fall off the tree.
Uh-huh.
Now, he never knew that they fell off the tree, but he was like, they all turn like red, right? And I was like, yeah, they all turn yellow and orange and red, and then they fall off the tree, and then there's no leaves on those ones for like 6 months or something, 5 months, whatever it is. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, those trees don't have any leaves during the winter. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because it's the winter time. Like, there's no leaves on the trees. And he's like, oh my God, I've never seen that. Because he's like, it's always green here, right?
And they don't have any deciduous trees down there.
They do, but they just lose some of their leaves little bit by little bit all year round. Right. All year round. They never shed all of their leaves and like hibernate, which I was like, holy crap. So these trees are just growing all year round, right? And then we went to the area that basically been a farm down there, right? So it had been completely clear cut. They'd farmed whatever there for a while. And then so the guy who runs the boat says, he was like, well, it was about 20 years ago they gave up on that plot. So whoever was there left, and it started growing trees again. And then in about that 20-year period, it was completely reforested. There was just trees going way up, right?
Yeah, right.
And he's like, so he's like, they'll grow this tall, but here's the difference. They're just not big yet. They're not big around. They're only like this big versus, however many feet around they'll get over time. And he's like, yeah, they just reforests like in nothing flat without even anybody doing anything either,
Well, it's good to know, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't reforest as fast as they're clearing the stuff out.
Well, I kind of talked at length on that yesterday, but there's a lot of criticisms from outside that area, from out around the world, that it's like, well, you're destroying the ecosystem. And the reality is that people are just trying to live.
Yeah.
It's not as nefarious as it is like in Australia or America, where it's these corporate entities that are piling down hundreds of thousands of acres and planting one crop there,
Yeah.
And I actually was going to look this up today, but I want to look it up right now. Like, how many acres in America are agriculture? So, in the United States farmland, 915 million acres, right? In just the U.S.
Is that
is
like
nine-
a quarter of the
900.
country or something?
Well, I guess we'll have to look that up.
Follow-up question.
How many acres in the USA? 2.43 billion acres. Yeah,
Oh,
so
crikey.
about a quarter. And so here's what's crazy is that like every single person in the United States has basically 3 acres dedicated to them of farmland, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So if we start to break that down and you go like, well, how many people are in Peru? How many acres should be farmland then, right?
Whoops.
And if all things are equal, right, it should be probably equal to that, right? You know, and typically that's where you sort of run into the brick wall, right? Like the people that were mad at them for cutting down and trying to grow crops, then they're like, well, they just shouldn't do that, you know? And it's like, what, should they just die or what? Like what's the deal here? Because, you know, America has almost 1 billion acres dedicated to just agriculture, right? And that's fine for us? Or should we plant trees there? Or what should we do? You know?
Yeah, not everyone can
So-
just duck
so
in
is it
front
that-
door.
As we're sort of coming to the point where we're realizing that the amount of clearing that's happened on the earth is actually impacting our viable future here, rather than, you know, when there are places like that, then it's up to the countries who have already cleared the space to help support the countries that they don't want to keep clearing more space from, you know. I didn't word that very well, but you know what I mean? But is that's their responsibility? Because at some point, it is important to not be clearing lots of land, but at the same time, it's important for people to be able to live and have quality of life. And it's not fair that places who got in early and cleared their land like ages ago should be the only ones to benefit, and everyone else can go suck it.
Exactly.
You know? It's sort of like
that's the issue, you know. And then it's like, well, how much can the current farmland sustain, right? And you're like, well, maybe there's just not enough. I don't know. But
realistically, for everybody to have any quality of life, a lot of people need to be prepared to step a few steps back in what, you know, levels of privilege that they have. And
well, I think a big part of that conversation is that it's not necessarily like people taking a step back. I think it's more people holding corporations and you know, the corporations that have the ability to do better, you know.
I definitely think that that's relevant, but realistically, people living in a world very much like me, like I'm not saying, you know, the fact that we can have the amount of electricity, the amount of food, the amount of land space, you know, all the internet and technology and things is actually using more resources than should necessarily be allocated to us. Does that make sense?
Well, first off, the assumption would be that people are over utilizing resources. So you would have to go through and figure out like what resources are you overusing, right? It's like, are you using too much water? Okay, I guess maybe you only get 2 gallons of water a day. And unfortunately, like the reality is that basically everybody wants to live a first world lifestyle. Okay. So to just be like, screw you, China, or screw you, Peru, or whatever, like you guys just get to live the third world lifestyle.
Yeah.
Isn't going to work. But what most people want,
there's not enough resources for everyone to live that lifestyle.
The problem is there are enough resources if we're not wasting our resources, right? Like, we don't need to use plastic, okay? Coca-Cola is shipping plastic all over the planet and then lying about it in Peru, right? Every single water bottle in Peru, every single Coca-Cola container, all this crazy plastic says it's 100% recycled material. It says that on the water bottles there. It's 100% recycled material. And let me ask the question. Do you think if Coca-Cola can not bring 100% recycled material to the American market, how is it suddenly able to sell that product in Peru where stuff costs 20% what it costs here, right?
Is that just because the regulations down there are a little bit different so they can get away with more shifty shit?
Yeah, they're just lying. I mean, the bottle just says it's 100% recycled plastic. If it's not possible to do in the United States, how is it possible to do that in Peru, even though these containers are packaged not even in Peru? They're just shipped in there, right? So not to specifically say anything about Coca-Cola, but if you look at the top S&P 500 corporations, if you look at like Walmart, right? One of the biggest companies on the planet, Walmart. Garbage trash company that doesn't pay their workers, that is completely wasteful, is completely polluting, is driving small businesses out, driving competition out. I mean, and on top of it, running away with all this wealth without really bringing anything of value to the world other than wasting tons and tons of material and stuff. And if we try to act like this falls on the single consumer, which has what the narrative has been for the last 40 years. Remember the crying Indian commercials where, I mean, you guys probably had like the similar commercials. It was probably just an Aboriginal guy, not a Native American guy, crying when some Aussies drove down the freeway and threw a plastic container out of their car as they drove by. But the thing is, the average person has no ability to realistically say, oh, I'm only going to buy products that have some kind of recycled or biodegradable materials only, because it's just not available. Even to the point where I need to drive my car to go to work. Okay. I'm using fossil fuel. It's 2021, right? I don't own an oil company. I don't own a car manufacturing company. I don't make those. I don't have the ability to make those products available, right? But I'll be damned if General Motors can't do it, if Mercedes-Benz couldn't do it, if all of these car companies couldn't come together and start making actual products that are going to be beneficial moving forward. The hydrogen car has existed for, 60 years? The electric car has existed for 120 years. Tesla wanders around, or that idiot Elon Musk wanders around acting like he invented electric cars, which he didn't, not even remotely. And yet here we are, right? And then it's like, well, hey, you better recycle your milk carton or the world's going to shit. And it's like, yeah, but the milk carton's made out of plastic. I didn't even make the milk carton, but I needed to drink some milk, or I needed milk for my kid, right? And then it's like, oh, well, hey, that milk's polluting the environment. It's like, I don't own the damn milk farm. I'm just trying to feed my kid, right?
Yeah.
Why is the milk farm polluting, and why is the milk farm getting away with it?
Definitely starts at the top. There's no change that can be implemented on that kind of scale by individuals.
Right.
Just
But,
making everyone behave a particular way when it is the big companies that should be held accountable for their actions.
Right.
But overall, if you looked at everything changing, people would still have to be prepared to make some compromises in their lives who are living in those better circumstances to accommodate the better for good for all. People would have to be prepared to make the compromises. Because they can't start it. They can't, it definitely has to start at the top, and it's definitely everything is pushed by these, tiny, small percentage of people who are making all the money from it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that like we need to help other countries get over that industrialization hump that the United States, Australia, Japan, South Korea, everywhere, the United Kingdom, all these countries that spent years and years polluting, decades and decades polluting to get through the Industrial Revolution, right? All those other countries are trying to catch up to where we're at, right? And a lot of the narrative in the U.S. is like, why should we stop? Why should we lower our emissions? China's just polluting a lot.
Mm.
And like,
It's such a stupid attitude.
well, yeah, they're trying to catch up. They're trying to catch up to where we're at. We did that too. So
They just don't want to let them catch up, is it? That's the main motivation.
and that's the reality.
Stay in the front.
If everybody catches up to there, though, that's not going to be a sustainable future.
Mm.
Why not?
There's simply not there's not enough resources for everybody to be living and producing in that way on the earth, because our population is booming, and it's just going to keep on getting bigger.
Right.
There's a lot of people.
Every critical analysis that I've read about the resources that are on the planet can sustain 13.7 billion people is the top number. That's where it's like, we really would have to worry. We're at 8 right now. So
but sustain, so you're saying that sustain would be at a total first world level, like where we're at, where you can have this big part of land, because like there's lots of land on the earth, but it's not all as livable. You can't say in America, you were saying earlier about there's this much land, so there's 3 acres for each person, but each 3 acres in America is not equal to the other. Each 3 acres can't necessarily sustain and produce equal to each other. Yeah, some of them are more productive acres, and some of them are more desolate acres.
That's true. Only a third of the U.S. is being utilized for agriculture.
But so that doesn't mean that 100% of it could be. There are areas that are desert. There are areas that are.
Yes, I understand that. But a third of the U.S. right now is being used for agriculture, and we produce about 3 times or 4 times the amount of food that even all of America eats, right? We export tons of food. We throw away tons of food. We just compost tons of food and stuff. So my point is that those analyses have been done, and we're not overpopulated. That's just like a huge myth that doesn't pan out when you really sit down and start to go over the numbers. Like, we're not overpopulated, but we do want to curtail family size and stuff like that, because we don't need to have 17 children, because child mortality isn't the way that it used to be, right? A lot of kids survive from being babies to being hairy grown-ups wandering around, right? So that's where a part of that education comes in, is just like, hey, let's have 3 kids, let's have 4 kids, let's have 2 kids, let's not have nine, it's too many, right? But that's the basis of it, is just like, hey, don't have 20 kids. It's just too many kids for everybody to have. But we're not super overpopulated or anything like that. And especially when we talk about energy resources and stuff like that, we have the sun. The sun ain't going nowhere. We have the sun, and the sun ain't going nowhere. And one of the realities is that the sun's energy needs to be harnessed, and we unfortunately aren't there yet to just be like, let's implement it all right now. But we do already have technologies that have been wildly vilified, like nuclear power, that operate clean, that can produce energy at any time of day that needs to be produced to meet the demands, and also to meet the demands of producing solar equipment and stuff, right? Yeah, if you're using nuclear power, you can run a factory that can build solar panels, right? As that technology starts to develop and get more efficient, there you go. Then your turnaround is, well, we use nuclear power to make solar panels so that we could power the future out of solar and whatnot, right? And those kinds of steps need to be done. I can't do that, you know, like it's not in my ability to be like, I'm going to build a nuclear power plant, right? I can't do that. So like my point has been like, as you know, people of the earth, like we need to stop vilifying the individual. We need to stop acting like it's the individual's responsibility. We all have
100%.
individual responsibilities to the point of like, yeah, don't burn your neighbor's house down. Don't be an asshole, you know, like for sure. But to imagine like if we're going to clean up all the crazy plastic pollution, meanwhile, Coca-Cola makes, you know, 16 billion plastic bottles a month or some crazy number like that. And most of them just end up floating around down a river somewhere.
It definitely doesn't come down to the individual, but and I just want to point out that when I bring up an argument and I bring up a point, I'm not just trying to contradict everything that you're saying. I'm just bringing up an idea that's come into my head.
Oh yeah, totally.
But so definitely the individual, and it has to start at the top, and it has to be. But I think that it's important that people don't absolve themselves from all responsibility, and that doesn't mean it's down to every person. I don't think that, you know, because the focus has become on, well, it's your fault because you bought some plastic and, you know, so therefore you're responsible. That's not true, but it's very important that people don't sort of just check out and go, well, I'm not responsible. It's just up to the big corporation. So therefore I have no part to play. I can do whatever I want because my part is so small in the grand play of things.
Right.
You know, we have to.
You got to understand, this is how I talk. I'm not angry at anybody. And I have like the angry Bert and Ernie face. I forget which one it is, Bert or Ernie.
Yeah, Bert with his monobrow.
And my voice is like super growly right now. I can't do anything about it. I lost my voice.
I had to
yesterday.
take any offense at your growly voice.
So yeah, it's weird. But yeah. So I mean, I guess I'm just saying like a big part of the experience, having gone and seen the first world in Peru, the second world in Peru, and the third world. Like we had the dose of all of them. You know, Lima, you know, the downtown part of Lima is like Sydney or Seattle or wherever, you know what I mean? There's paved roads, sidewalks, buses, you know what I mean? There's just a regular city stuff you would see. It's just the people are shorter, you know, that's all. Now, of course, all the advertising is in English, you know, super hilarious. It's like, buy a Samsung phone, you know, they're like, it's not even in Spanish, dude. Come on, what are you doing? You know, talk about lazy, right?
Are they,
Do you speak Spanish, Corvus?
Yeah, I do. So
that's Spanish, not Portuguese in Peru.
It's Spanish, not Portuguese. I have no idea what Portuguese people are saying. It is a confounding language that makes no sense. And I feel like if your Spanish is your second language, there's like no way you will ever learn Portuguese, I feel like. Because there's all these words that sound exactly the same and mean a completely different thing. It's crazy.
So how, like, are you fluent in Spanish? Because the thing is, I've also heard that in Spanish, it really depends like where you're from. And there are certain words that even like people who speak Spanish and they go to a different area and there are lots of different, you know, it's actually quite diverse.
Well, everybody has like crazy different dialects. So the way that I would explain it would be like, if you've ever heard somebody from UK, they're speaking English, right? If you've heard somebody from Wales, they're speaking English, right? If you heard somebody from New York, they're speaking English. If you heard somebody from Louisiana, they're speaking English. Here's somebody from California, from Sydney, from wherever, they're speaking English, right? It ain't the same English. You know, it's not the same. So it's like that in the fact that like, so my air quote brother, the guy I grew up with, I've known a long time. His wife is from Barcelona, right? She's from Spain. They speak Spanish, bro. It's like correct from Spain because that's where the language comes from, right? In Mexico, depending on the area, you could be from Oaxaca and you speak kind of a wild, slangy Spanish, right? And the funny thing is that like there's certain parts of Mexico where there's like blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mexicans. You're like, who are these guys? And you're like, oh, well, some of them are like that. Some of them look like some dude out of California. It turns out he's just from Mexico, right? Whereas you go to Mexico City, people talk a lot of street slang in Mexico City because it's a fast-paced, big population, people kind of being different than the other areas. Then you go to Peru, you go to Panama, you go to Ecuador, you go to Chile, all those Spanishes are all different because the dialects have just grown and evolved in the area.
I love how that stuff works.
And so it does take some time to like figure out the dialects. Luckily, like most of the Spanish I know is from dealing with people from Mexico, from Chile, from Peru, from Uruguay, from Ecuador, from, all different parts of the world.
So you get a nice input of that slang and variation.
So it takes time to figure out like, oh, okay, I've heard this, like this weirdness before. Like, okay, I remember that. Okay. And it does take a little while to figure out like what's going on. But like Finn Nipper J Puddle says, cabron is either a compliment or a terrible insult. Now, it's generally always a terrible insult if you're directing it angrily at somebody, but if you're talking to your friends, it's like calling your buddy an asshole. Yeah, exactly. It's
that
like,
does remind me also.
If you say bitch to a random person, they're like, "Oh, we're fighting," But if you say that to your buddy, they're like, "Ah, hey, goof."
I need to say g'day to Lonnie and Terry and Bates at Genetics and Finn Nipper too. You just reminded me by responding to Finn Nipper.
I like it better spread out because the thought of being a Finn Nipper makes me happy. I learned a little bit of Japanese and Italian, and over my life I was like, I really want to like sort of get down my Japanese, but over a little bit of time I much more would like to be able to speak Spanish. But it's scary because without any sort of getting saturated in a situation, like it's something I would have to do very solo because of the way that I live and where I live and stuff.
Right.
And so I'm sort of concerned as to whether I can do it.
There's apps for that.
Yeah.
I did.
Like I know like little bits and pieces, but again, also I've got like a connections that make it a little bit more like something that would be.
Yeah, I used to buy my weed off an Argentinian guy, and I'd go up to his house in the hills of Wilson's Creek, and we'd sit around, smoking pipes and whatnot, and he'd teach me Spanish. But that was, so many years ago that I've forgotten most of it.
Yeah. Fish Tropics wondering, how did I get sick? I went to the Amazon jungle. That's how.
Got the Amazon flu. G'day.
So
Double M.
I got sick when I was in Peru. When I was in Peru, I got sick for 2 days on the boat. Had like a fever, had rampant diarrhea.
Was that before or after you murdered the rat?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
After.
I was like imagining him murdering the rat with some of his
You got the murder sickness.
It was after murdering the rat. Not really sure what I caught. One of the guys on the boat was like coughing and had a kind of a cold or something going on, unbeknownst to me until like basically 2 days after we were on the boat, and it was like cool. But everybody had been COVID tested, so it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, oh, got some kind of
I just
virus.
got to vanish for a sec.
And then, like, I've got this like laryngitis thing going on right now, and I keep coughing because I inhaled water a minute ago, trying to drink water like a idiot.
It's supposed to go down the other pipe.
Yeah, I was going down the wrong one, and so maybe I'm sick again. It's possible because Dean has some kind of bronchitis thing going on right now, and he was on the trip, so maybe I caught that, and it just has been waiting and lurking. But I got another COVID test. I got another COVID test yesterday, which was negative today. So it's not the Rona. I don't have that. So
very good, very good. Yeah, that's one of the ones I was thinking of, Lonnie. Duolingo, that's a pretty decent one for learning. What's that other one? Babbel. Babbel's not so good because you get like 2 lessons in and they want you to spend money or some shit.
Yeah, I have Babbel through I bought it through Fringe. I've been trying to learn Korean, but it is confounding. Babbel works pretty good if you can afford it. It didn't cost me anything because I get like Fringe perk points.
Well, surely you could have said Fringe benefits then.
I get Fringe benefits. Yeah, that's right.
Perk points.
Perk points from this Fringe group.
You get FPPs.
It's called Fringe Concierge. Basically like earn Fringe points for things, and then so I just traded some of the points for that, and then so that's why I have Babbel. But if you can afford it, I would recommend it. I think that's a pretty good one. Yeah, I think it's pretty hard realistically to immerse yourself. Because like immersion, you will like learn stuff just out of necessity or whatever, but typically you won't have a decent vocabulary or anything like that, like you learn how to order.
You don't get the proper vocab without putting it in use with natives.
Right. And it's like you'll just learn how to like order food and ask where the bathroom is and stuff like that if you're just immersion. The
Syndicat Initiative.
Well, the reality is that like more often than not, you're just hearing stuff that you don't understand, right? So,
yeah, it's all well and good to learn the basics, but you've got to put it into practice with real humans.
Eventually,
yeah.
Okay, we got to talk about the Bad Batch because Scunge left, so we might as well.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I was wondering whether you'd actually finished it off or not.
I caught up. It's not the end. Is it the end? Was that the end?
That was the end of this season, yes.
That was the end?
Of this season, yes, but the second season is definitely confirmed.
I hate you right now. That was the end, and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
How could that be the end? That was the last one?
For this season, yeah. I was kind of
expecting
they only said
they were making one. They said they were only making one.
They came out about 3 weeks ago and said that the second season is confirmed and work has already started on it. So yeah, it will come. And most of this week, I've been concerned with. Concerned with Crosshair's welfare of how the heck he's going to get away.
Well, it seems I'm sure. I'm sure he's screwed, but he's put his eggs in that basket. So voluntarily. See, I just thought he was under the control of the chip, the inhibitor chip.
Yeah, right? I reckon he's got a game going on. I think he's playing the Empire to bring it down from within, and he's just not saying that to the other Bad Batch guys, but he's so super trying to get the Bad Batch on board to help him bring him down from the inside.
I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he's literally just this is
towing
how
the
you
line.
fall in line, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it goes that deep where he's like trying to take him down. Because if he was trying to take him down, he'd be doing what the Bad Batch was doing. He'd just go with Hunter and be like, "Oh yeah, let's go."
But instead, he made his choice.
That's right.
No. Did he make his choice, or did he say, "I didn't have a choice either"?
Well, he was
something
saying that he
about-
didn't have a choice either, but he had the inhibitor chip taken out,
Hmm.
and then he certainly had a choice at that point. I don't know. I thought there was going to be one more episode, and so now I'm really disappointed and I'm sad.
Yeah, it was certainly a I guess they followed the formula of a lot of episodic stuff when there's a new season come to leave it on a point where
Yeah.
we're just sitting there going, I just need 10 minutes more to finish this out or do good stuff and stuff. But yeah, good couple of episodes. Good to go back to Camino, and it was good also to have Hunter apologize to Omega for taking her back there, because we did.
So
I think we speculated on that when he made the promise in the first place that they're probably going to go back there.
Okay, so everybody just keeps asking about
What if?
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
And the reason we're not talking about Spider-Man right now is because that doesn't come out until December 17th. Okay.
Only been the trailer released, and the trailer.
And it's only been
great.
the trailer, and it's not coming out for 4 more months, guys. Just calm down. And is it going to be good? Is it going to be good? Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think S might just be baiting us.
Yeah, and I think wasn't what's his Tobey Maguire? Isn't he in it or something? I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? I mean, we'll talk about it when we get closer. But the Bad Batch. Let's talk about that, and then we need to really talk about something that's very important that's coming out very soon, and that's the Cowboy Bebop live. Have you seen that? I shared it on Facebook. I figured you would have seen it. I saw that. I saw that the Beast saw it, so I was like, I wonder if he passed that on to you. But Netflix has the live action Cowboy Bebop coming out very soon. I gotta find the date.
That should be good. They'd probably have to fork a hell of a lot of money into that.
Yeah,
make it
it's
work,
got it's got Harold from Harold and Kumar plays Spike. When does the new one come out? I had the date in my head that it's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks from now. It's coming out fairly soon. Oh crap! Netflix. There we go. There it is.
That's probably more in Scungy's wheelhouse too. Cowboy Bebop.
What? You don't like Cowboy Bebop?
She likes all the Japanese stuff.
I do tend to like it. I particularly like, I can't open my cocktail shaker. I particularly like I like lots of aspects of it, but I like watching like foreign films, including Japanese, because the way that they structure the stories and stuff is different. I can't open my thing.
Are you excited? There's a live action Cowboy Bebop coming out.
I don't know what Cowboy Bebop is.
No.
What is happening?
Tell me, because I would.
What is happening? What is going on?
Right in Scungy's wheelhouse, Cowboy Bebop.
What is going on?
I'm pretty detached from.
Okay, you guys have got to go watch the animated Cowboy Bebop. Okay, you're 20 years late.
Defo will.
20 years late.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
Okay, I can remember that.
Blacky, you got to go watch it. You'll like it.
I had some of it on VHS.
You guys got to go snuggle up and COVID into each other's mouths and watch Cowboy Bebop.
G'day, Kenny.
And then you'll be super excited.
Yeah, I think I had some of it on VHS because it was a series, wasn't it? Or was it just a movie?
It was a series. I think it's like 20-something 20-something episodes, but they're real good.
Is
You'd
it
like
is it something that is in Japanese? Or is it only in English? Because heaps of stuff like that, I don't like listening to their English dubs. I like the original audios.
I think the original dub. Ooh, I don't know. It might be there might be a Japanese dub of it, but it just watch the English one.
Okay.
See if it was Japanese. I don't know if it was ever in Japanese.
It's Labradorite.
It's Japanese science fiction neo noir anime television series. It's really good. You'll like it. If you like Star Wars, you would like Cowboy Bebop. I guess there's a Japanese version, I think, but I don't know which one. I don't know which one's the original. I think the original is in Japanese, but the voice work in the English one is really good. It's really well done. So
Okay, because I find lots of things, especially in Japanese, heaps gets lost when they start translating it into English because of just the inflection in the words and the way that Japanese people speak adds so much to the story. And if it's written in Japanese and it's meant for that, and then we translate it to English, we always kind of dull down all these aspects where Japanese people are kind of more expressive, I guess. So I have always found that, if you watch it first in English, it's not usually as much of a thing, but I still always like to watch the original audio because I feel like the whole way it flows from that is like how it was created, and it's very different to how once they translate it to English. It's like all the words are the same, but there's all these like inflections and things that build this energy that we don't have in English. We sort of like really dull. And so I love the way that they
I think that's just like poor budgeting.
Yeah, but some of these films, I'm talking like really big mega films with lots of money and stuff, but it's I don't know. It's like there's a lot of Japanese things, and then when they get dubbed over, they're dubbed over in American English. They become very American.
Even Lonnie's backing me up here. Says the original is Japanese, but the English is done super well. Super good.
I mean, lots of things that I watch, the English is done well, but if you compare the two, you still lose something.
I agree with some, but every time I've ever experienced that realistically, whenever it like stood out to me, was like, I think they spent like $12 doing the voiceover on this, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they were literally like, hey, can you guys forward this to some guys to do the English on it?
And that's definitely relevant.
It was legit just some guy who's like, can you just do the English thing? Okay. Is that cool?
Here is like a little small example in like a Studio Ghibli and they had Kiki's Delivery Service, which is like a really fun little movie. And they have this one character and it's voiced in Japanese. The character is so endearing, and then they turn it to American and it becomes this sarcastic American character, and it completely depletes everything that this character brings to the show, in my opinion. But so many people watched it in English and were like, yeah, this is a great movie. And it is, and it's done very well, and the translations are done very well, and the whole thing is really good. But if you experience what the Japanese version has to offer, you still can see that it's a change to go to the translated version. It's not the same character. It's not the same.
Right.
And you lose something or you change something through the translation and through that movement. It just doesn't move over in this. It changes.
Yeah.
And that's just a little example, but it's relevant to lots of things that I see, where they just lose an element to make it more appealing to that English audience.
Right.
However, that original element I find really good. I love that stuff. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see it tuned to be more palatable to me. I want to see it a little bit.
I think, and g'day Kenneth Young, but Kenneth Young pretty much hits the nail right on the head because English cadence is so different than Asian.
It's so
cadence.
different. Yeah, no, that it's so true. And because they're works of art, you know, movies and TV shows, these are works of art. And when the sound, you know, follows one pattern and then you turn it to this other thing, it changes it. It's not saying that it's necessarily poor quality, but it's different.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. But I was saying, because like a good example is like I was watching a Spanish show the other day, and the dub on it was terrible. So I just watched it in Spanish instead, and it was really good. But the English dub on it was terrible. And I think it just has a lot to do with like, there's just not a huge budget to put like every language onto stuff necessarily. And I think that's probably what we as the viewer probably are experiencing more often than we realize, especially with animation, because most anime stuff has like no budget. You know, not everything is Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like not everything is like, this is a $500 million like.
But that's where I'm relating it to something like Studio Ghibli with movies like Ponyo and Spirited Away, where they are big movies and they have lots of budget and they're voiced really. You know, it's high quality.
Right.
That it's just that it's different.
Right. That makes sense. So Lonnie is asking, now that they know about the series, what's the deal on the live action? It seems hard to do. It seems like it's going to be incredibly hard to do. And I'm trying to remember the Netflix series where like, what was the Netflix series where everybody's dead and then they have the chip on the back of their neck? They can put their consciousness in another body. I can't remember what the name of that was. Because that series was really good. And I can't remember what it is. Maybe somebody can remember.
I don't know. That concept sounds really familiar to me, but I don't know. I'm not a big TV watcher, to be honest.
Well, it's Netflix. I can't remember the name of that. What was it called? Crap. Does anybody remember in the chat? What was that called? Not Upgrade. God, what was it? So, what was the name of the character? I can't remember it. Oh, no. This is going to bother me. Does Blacky remember? I don't know.
He's not here.
Sorry, I could hear most of it, but I missed the last few seconds.
What was that show on Netflix where they have like the chip on the back of their head and then they can transfer their consciousness over? God, what was that? Hold on. Netflix series where they
Was it Upgrade? I think S is suggesting Upgrade.
Corva said no Upgrade.
Right.
Oh, Altered Carbon. That's what it was.
Ah, that one.
Did you guys see Altered Carbon? There's two series. It's 2 seasons. It's really good. It is really good. It's intense. Like it's brutal. So the synopsis is more than 300 years in the future, society has been transformed by a new technology, leading human bodies to be interchangeable and death no longer being permanent. So like everybody's consciousness is stored on like this chip, and then you can transfer to a new body. It's called Altered Carbon. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Is that another one?
So I got to go wash a blender.
One of the main characters in the show is a hotel. It's the consciousness of a hotel.
Yeah, right.
And it's modeled after Edgar Allan Poe.
Interesting.
One of the characters is the consciousness of a hotel, and his character is modeled after Edgar Allan Poe. It is good. God, you got to watch it. It's so good.
Why does that sound so familiar to me?
It's Altered Carbon. I don't know. I
think they did a take of that on Oh no, completely different concept. But in the Venture Brothers, there was the spirit of
yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe showed up. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so it's such a good show. But from my understanding, the Cowboy Bebop will kind of be made in that vein of, that sort of that production style, the quality of the production is insane. It's really good. I think it's going to be like that. The guy who plays the main character is of Harold and Kumar. I don't know if you remember those movies.
Yeah.
But he's the Harold character is going to play Spike. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited by stuff like that. But that Altered Carbon show, definitely watch that. It's very adult though, so make sure there aren't.
And that one came from a manga as well, didn't it?
Elderly or young people around. It's pretty graphic. It's pretty intense because everybody's body is disposable.
Yeah, right.
Basically,
So they must come up with some creative ways to dispose of those bodies.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I think to jump back to
Bad Batch.
To jump back to the Bad Batch, I think there was a lot of good resolution there. I don't know. Do you feel satisfied? I mean, we know what happened to the Kaminoans. Very ominous to the few that are left.
The one that's left.
Well, they said that they took away all of the science people that were worthwhile. So I think more of them have been evacuated than just the one.
Yeah, I thought they only mentioned the scientist.
Yeah.
Is the scientist secure or something?
There was the robot said that they evacuated all the useful Kaminoans, and then the rest that resisted, they,
threw into the old drink.
They did bad things, bad stuff. So there's hope that there's more than one, but who knows?
Yeah, well, I think that primarily they're just alluding to the the Palpatine's cloning regime, that they needed a Kaminoan for that, so they're bringing that all into canon as to how Palpatine's cloning system all got set up and going.
All secret like.
But yeah, I like where the speaking of resolutions, I like where they ended up, because they sort of accepted a stalemate of some sorts, that that they don't have to be enemies, even though they want different things.
Right.
So potentially Crosshair can go off and do his Empire business without worrying too much about revenge on the other boys and whatnot.
Yeah, you would hope, right? I mean, you would hope at the very least he could leave it alone,
Yeah, you would hope.
This whole time he seemed pretty driven to get rid of the Bad Batch.
I would go so far as saying hellbent.
Hellbent, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Because he's dirty that they left him.
They left him there.
He feels abandoned.
He has issues with abandonment. I will say that seems clear from the final.
Well, he's obviously one of the deep thinkers of the Bad Batch, so it's clear that a lot goes on upstairs with that kid.
Something going on there. He seems tormented.
Yeah.
He probably just really needs a couple Tylenol and a nap. I think really, just nap it out. Maybe a sandwich. I mean, he's looking pretty gaunt. Looks like hell. Maybe he just needs some.
A couple of regular sandwiches each day.
Couple turkey sandwiches, maybe maybe some mashed potatoes. A little gravy.
Extra suet.
Maybe a little gravy. Take the edge off. Take the edge off. Calm down a little bit. Gravy coma.
Yeah, no, I found they left us at quite a good place, because clearly we're going to want a lot more.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I shouldn't be here for this.
It definitely seems like there's going to be a season 2. That's for sure.
They've confirmed it. It is confirmed.
Yeah. Which is weird because we never encountered Boba, right? So that's kind of leaving that.
we
door
didn't
open.
get our stormtroopers versus clone troopers civil war. That's they've got to go there at some level where there's at least 100 or 200 clones versus TKs.
Yeah, at some point, seems to be the case. But I guess, like, are they just counting on like them aging out or what? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think Rex has to come back into it because his cameo was too brief at the start
Right.
for a group of clones that are on the same, mental course as him. Despising the Empire and stuff. He has to come back in, and I think that's where the clones versus stormtroopers will happen. But we did also see in that episode when that crucial thing was happening at the end of the last episode. I'm trying to not give spoilers because, man, Scungy, I mean, I've watched them, but I have to watch them again with Scungy yet. Fingers crossed this Friday night. There was clones on that Star Destroyer or whatever class destroyer it was, firing the guns down on Thingy, knowing that there was clones down there.
Right. Yeah, it seems like that's kind of what I was wondering was like, are they just going to like slowly eliminate them, or is there going to be like a mass extinction event? Like how are they going to go about it? Because clearly you can't just get rid of your whole army. But
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be a little bit of some of the stuff. The Bad Batch will have some contact with the clones that are in service of the Empire, and they'll sow the seeds of insubordination and stuff, and that's when the potential for a clone v stormtrooper civil war type thing will arise.
Right, because we saw that earlier. We saw that earlier in the season. Quite a few episodes ago, where like half the clones were just like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. Like,
yeah,
all right. So yeah, I could see where that could definitely come up into play at some point. But then is it like, are half of them thrown in the brig?
Yeah. Well, were they thrown in the brig only temporarily, or were they then murdered quietly off in the back?
You'd hope that they don't get murdered. They seem like nice boys. As far as I could tell.
They are all in all very, 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 very
what the
enjoyable.
hell's going on over there?
It sounds like the blender's at work, is it?
He's making a smoothie. I'll just mute it while he does.
It's okay. I thought it was funny.
G'day, Chewy. Yeah, so super eager, looking forward to the next season. I find it a very good continuation of the Clone Wars, and I eagerly anticipate next season an appearance by the mighty. I reckon that
would be very cool. They need to tie him back in again to these recent ones.
I think the whole duration of season 1 is, pretty much his time when he was getting remade into Vader. And yeah, potentially by the time the second season rolls around, he will be on his crusades around the universe trying to find and kill the Jedi with his crikey, what are they called? The ones in black, the not quite Siths. Gone. Anyway, those nasty lightsaber wielding people that go around looking for the Jedi.
Yeah, the bad guys. Those are the bad guys.
Yeah, that we'll just call them that for now because the name has slipped my memory.
Those are the bad guys. I know. Those are the bad guys.
There's just so many Star Wars names to remember. It's like when you try and fish one from the memory. It's
Aren't there,
Inquisitors.
though?
Thank you, BJ. The Inquisitors, yeah.
Inquisitors, yeah.
And g'day, Scotty, Alien World Aquatics. Hello to you and Paige. So yeah, like I said, super looking forward to a Vader visit. I think he's perfectly timed to pop in, but under what context to be confirmed.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I was trying to think. Is well, I was trying to think because like I'm trying to remember the timeline here because does Vader exist yet?
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. During the duration of this first season, like the first 4 or 5 episodes, he would have been
Right.
just recovered and being rebuilt by Palpatine.
Right.
So I reckon my theory is around the time that this season has ended, Vader has been sent out into the galaxy with his Inquisitors to hunt down Jedi and stuff. So potentially, if we've got Bad Batch meeting up with some Jedi in the second season, there'll be a potential Vader encounter there as well. G'day,
Right.
Aquamate. How are you, Joshua?
See, that's the kind of crap that'll piss me off.
If Vader shows up.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, you know how this ends, you know,
Yeah.
like Vader wins.
Desirably, if it's only going to be 2 seasons, I would feel that a fitting end to season 2 of the Bad Batch would be Vader slaughtering all of the Bad Batch.
Oh, like Vader dispatches them. Yeah.
Dispatch the Bad Batch.
I guess that would be a reasonable finale. Yeah. That makes sense. But it was like if you ran into them like mid-season, it's like, well, they don't ever get the upper hand on this. It's not going to go well. This is not
but you're not going to get adequate closure from a mid-season Vader.
No, it's not going to happen.
It's going to be feeble. However they deal with it, he has to be either the finale, slaughtering them all, or just not show up at all.
Right.
That's my prediction. G'day, Donald. How are you, mate? Long time no see. So yeah, I'm eagerly anticipating good quality stuff from Bad Batch, with or without Vader. I will not be dissatisfied if he doesn't show up, even though he is my favourite. Scungy, was that I'm about to speak inhale?
I was just going to say that I like the thought that if they've thought through before and planned everything, I like the idea of characters turning up as long as they tie things together in a way that works rather than just showing them off for the token of them, you know, like, oh yeah, see, we did it, you know. But if they tie stuff in, and I love the thought that before they did this and with all the stuff with the like all the different shows that they're doing, that they will sort of think ahead of things that they haven't said to the fans, that will sort of like tie and make things sort of like, oh, I like that idea.
Right.
And I hope that they would do it well, but if they're not going to do it well, then better not to do it at all.
Well, I think that's definitely one of the things that they are doing well is that they're not just chucking stuff in, like characters in for the sake of having a character thrown in there.
Oh, you mean like when Luke showed up to save the day?
Yeah.
Right. Right, like that. Right. Yeah. That still bothers me. I
mean, but who else could it have been?
Mace Windu.
Nah. No one wants to see him again.
One
As
armed,
if he's
one
a
eyed.
popular character.
Yeah, dude. One armed, one eyed. Mace Windu. Like,
Scarred to the max.
yeah, just scarred up and like all.
He would have had to do very well to. Okay. Be
Hey,
safe.
look. Here's the thing. Like, everybody said they didn't want Cable to show up in the Marvel Universe, right? And then Cable showed up in Deadpool, and everybody
Cable,
jizzed
that's
in
the
their
big-
pants,
Big
right?
metal dude, isn't it? Is that who that
Cable? No, Cable's not the metal dude. No.
is? Who's Cable? Sorry, my Marvel knowledge is quite crap.
It's all right. I'm trying to
It's
think
going to
of a
get
different
even
one.
more confused watching What If.
Well, it's like Ahsoka, right? Like, really no passing fan, right? Like, no casual fan was like, we need Ahsoka Tano. That's what we need. That's what we need. She needs to show up here and guide
So it was a wasted smoothie.
Grogu and find out who Grogu is and read his mind. Am I saying her name wrong? No. But, like, no casual fan said that. No casual fan was like, that's what we need. But guess what? It's awesome. And now they're making a whole series about it. You can't make a series about Luke. He's 70 years old now. You know? You could have introduced... I mean, here's the thing. Even if it wasn't Samuel L. Jackson, you could have just introduced somebody else playing the scarred up. I mean, you could have brought Samuel L. Jackson in. I don't know. He still exists.
I mean, it worked for Luke. Why not just CGI him in?
Exists.
Well, the thing is, like, you wouldn't even need to CGI him because you could just principal makeup the guy, right?
Yeah.
Because he was old when he died. He's old now. It doesn't matter. You would just be like, oh, it's been however many years and he's still a Jedi, so it doesn't matter, right?
I got a $1.50 says Samuel Jackson's asking price may be a little bit tall even for Disney to show up.
I doubt
So,
it.
You reckon? You reckon they'd just pay the money to get the face?
Dude, how many Marvel movies has he been in now playing Nick
Yeah,
Fury?
I suppose. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, this
he
is
has
true.
fun. It's fun for him to be in movies. Are you kidding me? Like, he likes to be in stuff. And the thing is, like, it could have just been a 3-episode arc or something where you could have just found out where Mace Windu was or whatever, and that he's still alive out there somewhere, and that maybe maybe he's been training some just regular fighters on some planet or something that's organized now or something.
I like
Or maybe he's
that.
just been hiding in a cave like Obi-Wan, right?
Maybe they're withholding a Mace Windu TV series from us. Oh, and there we go. BJ Palmer says Nick Fury's getting his own season.
Yeah,
Series.
Nick Fury's getting his own season with Disney or Marvel.
Yeah,
He already works for him. He already works
already-
for him.
He's going to be too busy to be playing Mace Windu.
They would literally be like, you just need to walk over the other side of the lot and go do Mace Windu thing. And you'd be like, all right, man. There ain't no snakes in there.
Take the suit off and put the robe on.
You know,
Um,
I'm just saying that's one idea, right? That's one idea out of the million ideas that who could have showed up, you know.
BJ Palmer, I think that at the time frame that we're looking at, Ezra is probably not even born yet. Or if he is, he's probably still a baby. Cal
Yeah.
Kestis is possible. Cal Kestis's timeline works in, but I'm still not 100% sure if they have confirmed that Cal Kestis's storyline is canon yet.
I mean, you could have literally written anybody in.
Who's Calcatsis?
He's from a
Kestis.
video game, Jedi Fallen Order, which I believe there's a Fallen Order 2 supposed to be coming out as well.
Right.
But he's another ginger in the Star Wars universe, and based on the popularity of that video game, I think the character's popularity was quite solid as well. He wasn't too whiny, a little prick. He was okay.
He was all right.
And it's a great storyline too. Just to like, I haven't played the game, but I've watched the the gameplay and cutscenes, movies on the YouTube. It's a great storyline. His old Jedi mentor, she could be in there somewhere as well, whatever her name was.
That's all I'm saying is that like we don't necessarily need the fan service elements,
Yeah, just keep telling us the stories. Don't cater and pander to the fandom.
Right. Which is my issue with like, if you play the Vader card, like you're really kind of wrapping yourself into a corner where if he shows up, he doesn't die because we know when he dies.
That's pretty much why I say that if he appears in the Bad Batch, he's got to be the one to end it and finish them all off, because we're fairly certain that none of them appear in the future anywhere.
Right.
They've got to die some stage.
And we know from like all the books and stuff that like Vader was on like a mad rampage killing spree for years and years and years. That's why like when Luke shows up, he's all worn out and old.
Yeah.
Old man.
Because he's been draining himself with so much excessive force use and stuff.
That rage.
Yeah.
Pissy rage.
I got to catch back up on the War of the Bounty Hunters 2 comic series. Is currently following that storyline of the time when Han Solo frozen in carbonite and all the bounty hunters fighting over it, trying to get it and stuff.
Yeah,
and there's a bit of Vader storyline in there as well, which is very good. Basically continues on from the end of the most recent Darth Vader comic series, but very good. So speaking of Nick Fury, segue into Marvel. Have you seen any of the What If yet?
Not yet. No, have not seen them yet.
I've watched the first two. I like the concept, and I can dig it. But because I'm not so deep in the Marvel universe, it may have the potential to confuse me.
Probably. The What If series is it's out there.
Yeah. But yeah, is it the fourth one tonight or the third one tonight?
I don't know.
Because I may have missed last week's one. Yeah, What If is good.
Not up on it yet. I'll try to get some late night watching.
It's certainly worth a view. Let's bring this guy up, see what he's got to say.
Oh man, it's the Beast.
How you going?
What's going on?
He got the last 2.5 seconds of the applause sound effect. Didn't have to pause at that time.
Nice.
How are you, Joshua?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Pretty good so far.
I was up really late last night, so sorry I took my time to get on.
It's all right. I figured I would just send you a link this week and wait for you to do your own thing instead of waiting for you to wake up.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. How's your trip, Corvus?
It was all right.
All right.
Those food pictures, oh my god, those potatoes look the shit.
Look at potatoes.
Is there
Where did you
anything
see his potatoes? Where did he put these potatoes?
I'm not like a huge potato fan. But there's a thing with the Peruvians that they will roast a potato, right? And they're sort of like a yellow potato, you know what I mean? They're like a yellow gold. They're pretty good but I'm not a huge potato fan personally, but I'll eat them. It's fine. But there's this weird Peruvian thing where they roast a potato, right? Then they peel the skin off of it after it's roasted. Then they cut it into slices after it's roasted, and then they put them on the plate, and they're like, that's fancy.
Right.
They're like, this is the fanciest you could ever do with a potato. And I'm like, you people are cavemen. This is awful. Yeah, there was a lot of fairly good food, honestly. Even though you get rampant diarrhea and you're gonna die. Still a lot of good feed. Still a lot of good food.
You just got to enjoy the moment and not worry about the ramifications.
The ramifications can be deadly. Diarrhea is the number 3 killer in the world, I think.
Wow, is
three.
it really?
I believe so. Number 3 or number 2 or number. I think it depends on the year, but it's a big one. It's a big one on the list. And then you got to worry about malaria, dengue, typhoid, hepatitis, rabies, parasites. There's a lot. There's a lot you got to worry about.
Don't make me.
Parasites that look like that. If they grow inside your body. But overall, pretty good.
No one can see the bits.
I have to say, one of the biggest disappointments, culinary-wise, was we were at a little fancy joint late night, and we wanted to get dessert. That's the reason we were there. And we got brownies. You guys know what brownies are?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Brownies
Brownies
like girl guides, but smaller.
Well, it's like brownies are supposed to go. Brownies are supposed to go with vanilla ice cream, and the menu was marketed as vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce.
Hi.
Right. And we didn't get vanilla ice cream. We got sherbet ice cream, which is like
Tangy,
what?
sweet.
This is not even remotely vanilla. What's happening here? And they were like, it's the only ice cream we have. And it's like, okay, well, we out here. Might as well. The risotto with filet mignon. The filet mignon looked like it was butchered by, I don't know, 6-month student.
I was going to say a goat with 3 fingers.
Pretty much. The risotto was not cooked properly.
I've never enjoyed risotto.
Rice was still al dente. It was far too wet. Blah, 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 blah. I could give you the full breakdown, but it was good. So who cares, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm eating this because I'm tired of having diarrhea and I want to eat some steak, But a lot of fish, a lot of chicken, stuff like that. But pretty good.
Very good. You can't go there and immerse yourself without immersing yourself in the culture, even if it does mean a little bit of poop in the trousers.
Try to avoid it.
Try to, but it's a worthwhile risk. Surely,
dude, it's brutal. It's the only reason I bring it up. It's intense. It's like it's more than you think. It's more than you think.
Well, I guess it's always a risk when you go to a foreign country that you're going to have some imbalance in your digestive system, isn't it?
Well, I've been around Europe a fair bit, and a little bit of gas here and there. It was about it, Okay.
So you reckon that the standards and practices do differ around the world and matter?
Yep, that's what matters. That's the real deal right there. there is a point where it's like, if you're washing your hands, that's great. Fantastic. If you're rinsing them off with the river water, starts to become questionable because the river water is sort of what the issue is, right?
Yeah.
Well, two Dougs is asking, but didn't you know it was coming? It's like you do everything you can to not. That's the thing. And it's sort of as I'm told, it's supposed to be a 50-50.
Whether
But
you get the diarrhea or not.
Yeah, but I think it's more like a 2/3 yes, 1/3 no. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially for the foreigners.
Yeah. Well, that's for the foreigners all day. But everybody that lives there is fine. They're not having a problem. So, but there's weird things there that you just don't normally experience in the first world. Just turds, broken roads, starving animals. Just like I have a video of the open air market we went to. That's a wet market right there, big time. It's 95 degrees, whatever that is in Australia.
36-ish.
Very hot, and very humid, 100% humidity. And you just got your meat sitting out there on the table on the dirt street with the poop all over the place. A lot of suspects.
So,
a lot of
do you
suspicious
just
stuff.
eat vegetarian while you're over there, or you actually
you have to
crave
eat-
meat?
You don't want to eat a lot of vegetables because most of the vegetables are rinsed off with suspect water. So, if you get like a salad on your plate, it's like, yeah, I'm not having the salad today. Sorry. You just want to eat lots of fully cooked stuff that is kind of hot held as best as possible.
Way a bit safer.
Yeah, only bottled water. Only bottled water. No ice. Fruit juices are a real bad idea because most of them are hand squeezed.
Yeah.
Which therein lies the issue. If you haven't washed your hands in like 5 hours and you squeeze some fruit juice for somebody, there's a good chance you have surface contact of, poop, bacteria, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So, I did not partake in the fruit juice. I just was like, nope, I ain't falling for that one. I ain't falling for that trick.
So your kidneys probably got a good clean out with all that bottled water then.
You drink a lot of water. You drink a lot of bottled water.
Especially in 100% humidity.
It's super hot. You sweat like crazy. So what you do is you get a bottle of water and then you add these like electrolyte packs that make it taste like garbage. It's like salt and sugar and vitamins. And you just add it to the water and you drink that. You got to drink like a couple of those a day, and then you'll probably to say that you drink probably like 10 bottles of water a day. It might be under because you're just like constantly drinking water. I mean, you're just constantly. The whole time I was there, I always had a bottle of water with me and was drinking on it because it sucks it right out of you, and you're not used to sweating like that much. Like even when you're used to sweating a lot, I mean, you're like sweating when you're asleep because there's no air conditioning or anything. You have to sleep under a mosquito net because you sure as hell don't want to get mosquitoes on you in the middle of the night because they have malaria.
They transmit the dengue too, don't they?
And dengue and stuff like that. Yeah. So, yeah, all that stuff's an issue, and you got to worry about it and do your best to mitigate. But it's weird. We have some family friends that are like they took their kids and they're in Honduras right now, which I'm like, it just seems like the wrong time to be in Honduras, but with little kids,
With kids. Yeah.
like a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, or a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. Like
It seems like a wrong time to take kids anywhere, really.
it seems like a wrong time to take kids anywhere. Plus, like, yeah, I don't know. Plus the doo-doo everywhere. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You can't trust a 1-year-old not to pick a turd up off the street and throw it
That's what I'm
around.
saying. You can't trust them. You can't trust them.
Mm.
They're going hands and mouth. Yeah.
Oh, what's this piece of dirt taste like? Oh, it tastes like poop. I'll have another
As
bite.
S says, it's technically winter. It's not winter in the equator.
Never
What it is right now is it's the dry season.
Yeah.
The equator has 2 seasons: wet and dry. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It never gets cold. I literally was talking with one of the guys on the boat, and it related to the fall story I was telling you earlier. As he was trying to ask like where I'm from, and I'm like, I'm from Washington. I'm like, it's really north, and they're like, okay. They're trying to figure out like, hey, do you go fishing a lot? And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Washington, man. There's salmon, crab, all sorts of stuff. You go fishing all the time. They're like, okay. And they're like, yeah, but what's it like? I'm like, it's cold, bro. And they're like, oh, you mean like it's like a little bit cold? And I'm like, no. Like if you go river fishing up here, I was like, in the summertime you could go in the water and you'll be okay.
Hmm.
But you have to say that with a question mark, like you'll be okay. But most of it's melted snow, so it's pretty cold, but at least it's warm out. But I was like, I was explaining to him, like, in December or January, if you fall in the river where I live, you will die in like 3 minutes. And they're like, what do you mean, like 3 hours? I'm like, no, 3 minutes. Like, 3 minutes, you're dead. Like, and they're like, what? Like, you freeze to death, you die. And they're like, huh? You know, and then I was like, have you ever seen a frozen river? And they're like, frozen? What do you mean? I'm like, frozen, like ice.
No,
and they're like,
no concept.
like
of
ice?
proper
What do you mean,
cold.
like ice in the river? There's no ice in the river. The river's hot. The river's warm. You just go in there. I'm like, no. But my house, the river will freeze. You go walk across it. And they're like, what? You know, they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean, like the whole river turns into ice? I'm like, yeah, we go ice skating, man. You know, they're like, what? You know, it's just that. I'm like, yeah, man. So one of the things I want to do is try to bring some of those guys up here, like during the winter, to like come visit, because
I feel you missed the opportunity to become their new Jesus, touting these myths of extreme cold.
right. But they but the funny thing is I was talking with them, like, would you guys like want to come visit America? Like, I don't know if that's something that you want to do. And literally one of the guys was like, it is my dream. I dream about it every night to visit America. I want to come there. And to prove a point, I posted a picture of this guy on Instagram. He's wearing an American flag shirt that he was not wearing when we had that conversation. About 20 minutes later, he comes back wearing the American flag sleeveless shirt that he had. And he caught the biggest pleco I've ever seen. I posted the picture of it. Well, the biggest pleco I've ever seen caught in the wild. Let me rephrase that. Because I've seen those like in big wholesalers and stuff that size. But he just literally caught it with a rod and reel. Like, check out the fish I caught. And it's like giant pleco. They make soup out of it. They make soup out of those big plecos.
They're big food fish down there, aren't they?
Yep. Because they're super bony and gross or whatever, but they cut them up and they have a big pot that they just throw the plecos in all the time. They just have a pot going and it's just pleco soup. It's their staple. Their staple is pleco soup. They just eat it all the time. Whenever they're hungry, they just like go have a bowl of pleco soup. And I'm like, it does not. It does not smell good. because it's not a whole lot of culinary styling that goes into the pleco soup. It's literally just boiled fish and water.
Yeah. Well, like Crocodile Dundee said, you can live on it, but it tastes like shit.
Yeah, you can live on it, but yeah, it's gonna be rough.
It's gonna taste like the bottom of the river.
Yeah. This was born and raised at the very bottom.
G'day, all things fish. How's it
But
going?
it's
Jacob, long time no see.
I will tell you, it's really impressive. It's really impressive just how much life there is in the river there. It's wild, man. You throw a net in there, you have fish. You don't know what. You don't know what, but you're gonna have fish in it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Did Kobe and Dean get what they went for,
Um,
or did they have a long list?
it's hard to say. Well, they had a short list. I had a very short list. I had the shortest list of everybody, which I was going to take no fish back. That was my list. And I got peer pressured into what's your dream fish down here, and we'll see if we can find it. We found one. And I brought home 30. So go figure.
G'day,
Go
Dan.
figure how I pulled that off.
And
Right.
do you want to disclose what that was, or is that for an upcoming reveal on your own?
It'll be in a video. They're giant zebra autosinkless. So
Ah,
we're gonna see how well they do. We'll see how they do. If there's never a video, that means that they all died. So, well, I mean, it's really hard to import fish
and get
from
them
the
to
Amazon.
survive.
Like everything in the Amazon, it's full of life, but everything is on the brink of dying. I mean, it really is. It's just, it's hard to explain. Like the River Nanai that we were on, there are times in the year, there's so much leaf litter and everything in that river. The pH is just so low. The pH is so low that mosquitoes can't breed in the water.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like there's some pools that are sitting there that are like the pH will be like 4.6. And the river itself can be like 5.2, and it's a giant river. That the pH is that low. And you bring up those fish, even just from a couple feet deep, it's enough for them to like freak out and die.
Yeah.
But
G'day, Dragon Lair. Long time.
it just becomes food for all the other fish that are there, and just what affects of life. How does the water feel on your skin? It's pretty warm. It's like when you take a bath and then the bath cools down to like just below your body temperature. That's generally where it is, unless you get into one of those unless you get into a little lagoon or an offshoot or something that's real shallow, then it's warmer. It feels like a bathtub. I mean, it's warm. The water feels pretty terrifying realistically because you don't know what's in it. Because you can't see. You can only see like a couple inches. There's just that much mud in the water. You can't see anything. You don't know what's in there. The bottom of the river is just muck. It is just muck. You sink down in random spots. You literally be walking on sand near the shoreline, and just you'll take one step where you're standing on the sand. You take one step forward, and you fall into your belly button. That's how deep you'll just fall in. Like all of a sudden, it's crazy. The water's gross because you don't know what's in the water, and you just don't know what's in it. And that's the big concern, is like you just don't know if you got diphtheria on you, if you got cryptosporidium in your mouth, and you're gonna have diarrhea for 2 days. Like you just really don't know what's in the water, because it is it's the sewer system for all of the Amazon,
Yeah.
And when the water's that low, it's very concentrated, during the dry season. Like I was talking in live stream yesterday, where the water level's at right now, when it rains, it's going to go 40 feet, or it's going to go about 40 feet up
Wow.
from where it's at right now. So, it's really one of those things, but it's really warm and whatnot and fairly enjoyable. Like realistically, it's really easy to float in it. For whatever reason, you are buoyant enough to readily kind of swim in it pretty easily.
All those decomposing poo particles.
Yeah, the poo particles float you up a little bit and give you a little boost. But also, it's a big, giant moving river, so it has all sorts of weird currents in different spots. Like you'll be in one area and the water seems like it's still. You'll go upstream. You go upstream 300, 400 yards, and all of a sudden there's like crazy current whipping around something, and so you really have to pay attention to what you're doing pretty much all the time. You can't really get lax. You can get chill on the boat. You can get chill and not really pay too much attention on the boat. But if you're in that river, you really got to be paying attention to what you're doing. Yeah. Finn Nipper's wondering, any fish come out of Chile or Argentina? 100%. Yeah. And why is Peru the most favorable?
Probably because of the infrastructure that they've got in place, I would imagine.
Well, that's part of it. Like the group that we went collecting with, like they're ready to have people come. If you book, they'll take you out, basically. Iquitos is right near a whole bunch of different branches of the Amazon. So, like if you go up the river Nanai, the pH is super low. But if you go out to the main branch of the Amazon, which isn't that far, I think you go like a couple hours, you can steam out, and then all of a sudden you're in the main branch of the Amazon. Totally different river all of a sudden. The pH is like normal. It's big, wide, and flat, and you're collecting completely different fish. And you don't have to go very far. But there's a bunch of branches of the river there that you can go up and do stuff. And it's a really unique, like, kind of area ecosystem wise. Like I said, the pink dolphins are there, which I thought would be, I guess I was expecting them to be more monumental, but it's literally like you see a dolphin like coming up.
So
it comes up
saw
every once
some
in a
of them
while.
while you were there.
And they're super solitary, apparently. I didn't realize that. I thought we would see a pod of them. But the pink dolphin is a solitary dolphin. They're like, I like to chill by myself. Every once in a while, you see a pair together. But, yeah.
Yeah, they probably just wanted to disappear away from the oceans and all those other dolphins and their silly behaviors.
Right.
Just wanted to go and do their own thing. So they became pink.
And just went upriver.
Yeah, very interesting creature. I wonder what they taste like.
I don't know.
I bet some Peruvians know.
I bet some do.
Pink dolphin on a spear. That'd be
by far the most favorable eating fish down there is the in the area that we were in, and everybody was crazy for it, was the tiger shovel nose catfish. And I literally heard tiger shovel nose catfish so many times that if I never hear it again, it will have been enough times. I literally was like, I was hearing that like 100 times a day. Just like, yeah, man, you guys like that fish? I got it. Just tell them to get one.
What's the local name?
I don't remember.
G'day, J Rock.
Oh, piranha. Yeah, we saw a lot of piranha. We caught a bunch. Yeah, caught a bunch of piranha. The big, they had the big jawed like pink ones there. You catch those quite a bit. They're surprisingly easy to catch, and they're surprisingly like you don't catch them in big groups. That's one of the fish that I was expecting you would catch like a bunch, but you always catch like one or two. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, where's the rest of these idiots? You know,
Yeah, well, that's it. You're just getting the stupid one.
I guess so. Yeah, must be it.
The one that doesn't listen to the rest of the group when they say, get.
Must be it. But you do catch a lot of piranha in the area that we were in. A lot of them. And of course, the Peruvian guys, like, they're always wanting to show you, like, oh, piranha, we got one. You know, you're like, okay, I can't do anything with that. I can't bring that home. Can't do anything. So yeah, piranhas are illegal where I'm at. Well, maybe you could buy them. I'm not sure, but they're illegal to import, so it doesn't, wouldn't matter.
As well, they should be.
Yeah, they're pretty stupid fish, really. I mean, honestly,
they're not the most entertaining fish to have in the tank either. Or good for that, once every other day or so, feeding of something live. Sure, great fun, but
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if the local guys eat them or not. I don't think that they do. If I can recall, I think they just throw them back. They're like, yeah, whatever. These things are stupid. So I don't even think they eat those. But there's a lot of fish that we would catch that they would eat. And then there was a lot of fish that they used as bait. There's a lot of specific little silver fishes and stuff like that. The kind of fast swimming silver varietals that you would get. A lot of those, they were like, "Oh, that's a bait one." They would throw it off to the side. Be like, the guys that were with us were constantly collecting food fish and bait fish all the time. Like they would just stuff them in their pockets. They would make little stick. They would take a stick and feed food fish through it and just carry the stick with all the fish on it. Those guys were constantly collecting stuff, which is just a sign of like how it is for those guys.
Yeah,
where
just the need, the basic need.
You get that food. You got to get that food. You're on this trip. Yes, you're working, but there's food here.
Don't use that money for my phone bill, not for my food bill.
I think only like one. Two of the guys had cell phones that I know of. The captain and but most people had like cell phones and stuff because it's the easy way to communicate, really, But they had like the knockoff Samsung, it's like Sam Buns or something, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, that kind of looks like an Android phone. What is that thing? And it's like, it's like the Steve phone or something. It's just some made up whatever generic phone. All right, man. I gotta get up, and my voice is just dying. So
yeah, well, I'm gonna have to call it as well because I'm only about 10 minutes from having to take my parentals to their second jab for their COVID vax.
Yeah, gotta get it. Yeah, everybody that's watching, get vaccinated. Quit screwing around.
Yeah, stop listening to Facebook news and all that nonsense.
Well, stop listening to like tiny little snippets of information that are like, oh, this proves that this mountain of evidence over here is wrong. It's like they put a period in the wrong spot. Their grammar is wrong. Yeah,
it's after all of the shit that's gone down, I just find it so ridiculous that people are still falling for the nonsense. And, I know people around town here that I used to think were reasonable, sane people with good sense of judgment, and they're just saying the most ridiculous, silly things. Just terrible that humans can fall for such nonsense.
It's
Mm.
weird.
And I've said it before and I've said it again. Most of them accuse the rest of us of being sheep, but they are the ones that are the sheep for following.
Oh,
the
yes.
system.
Yes.
Did you see? I don't know if they showed it in Australia because it's probably not news there. But Trump was given a Trump was up at some stupid rally. He was talking about how, like, I got vaccinated. You should get vaccinated, and everybody started booing him. And he was like, "Oh, well, you don't have to, but like, because you're free people and you got your freedoms, you don't have to. But I got vaccinated," and they're like, "Boo!" It's like,
Nice flip, Donald.
you're Messiah. You have to boo him now. Like you're that messed up that you're booing the guy you like, who's
Wonder
been
how that
vaccinated
makes
this
you
whole
feel.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super funny.
Well, before you guys go, I've got a good recommendation for something to check out on YouTube.
Right,
Whoops.
he left.
It leaves us on a cliffhanger like that.
That was a
That's
wild
just-
cliffhanger.
Not cool, Beast.
What was that? His phone died.
Or it's just eagerly going to be hanging on now, waiting for
No,
this
I'm-
bloody good recommendation.
I'm
It's going to
worried
be
if he's
so
gonna come back.
disappointing if it's a shit recommendation. Here we go. Maybe.
Man,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
left
I
us
got-
with that was the ultimate cliffhanger.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, that booted me off for some reason. Okay, so the hot tip, a new band has just been released in the last month or so. They've got 3 film clips that are fucking epic. They're called Area 21 rather than Area 51. And it's kind of like a mashup between Daft Punk and Gorillaz. But instead of the monkey theme for Gorillaz, it's an alien theme. And it's fucking amazing production, like really hot animation and really
Check it out.
entertaining messages. So Area 21, check it out.
Okay, 2 questions for you, Beast. Have you
Shoot.
seen Cowboy Bebop?
Yes.
Okay. You're excited for the live action.
Oh, fuck yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, neither Blacky or Scunge have seen it.
Oh, they're missing out. It's so
Neither.
stylish.
Yeah. I'm like,
music,
what is going on here?
The smooth jazz music is just
Yeah,
like so good.
The soundtrack kicks ass. I mean,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on. Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And then, so here's the other question. Have you seen Altered Carbon? Have you seen that
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, good. Well, at least we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So we could have regular discussions while Blacky's
Well, I
mouth
sit here
just
and
hangs
look
open.
silly.
Did you see what they did for the promo for Altered Carbon? Before
Is
it
there a
got
new one?
released? No, they before the series got released, they went to, I think it's called CES, the Consumer Electronics
Oh, yeah.
trade show, and they had a booth at this technological trade show demoing the stack technology,
Yeah.
and everyone bought it like thinking it was this
Like-
real thing coming out.
Oh, God. Well,
It's so
CES
clever.
CES is pretty big. And there's a lot of cool stuff that they bring out there every year. So, I mean, I
it blew
imagine that
people's minds.
I imagine that you could probably slip some fake technology stuff in there, like regularly. You know what I mean? Like, I think you
Yeah.
could just be the average guy that's like, "Hey, check out my thing here. I got." It
Mm.
gives you, if you focus real hard, you get lightning fingers. Like,
It's an awesome marketing technique.
Oh yeah, so clever. And okay, so there's the other bit of news that popped up on Sky News a couple of days ago, and I can't find any links on the internet or any backup information. But anyway, they had a short segment on Sky News about repurposed armored fighting vehicles. So a tank with a crew compartment for 6 for transport. And they've refitted it so instead of the main cannon on the roof that's remotely controlled from inside the vehicle, to be a water hose for firefighting.
oh yeah, They have some of those.
So the tank is, they're talking about how they're going to put a 5G repeater station in the back of the tank with big whip antennas. So in case of a phone tower going down in a crisis, you can roll this remote controlled tank right into the depths on a hill on a mountain and use it as a mobile phone tower.
Huh.
So
Nice.
teams of them will be interlinked with the 5G technology, and they will talk to each other. And if someone needs rescuing, you can drive this thing up with suppression against fire up into their situation,
Right.
open the crew compartment, say bail in, lock the door, drive out of the situation and rescue the people.
Right.
Most amazing technology I've ever seen in my life. I was just so blown away. It looks so cool.
I think I was I was talking to some people a while ago, and I could never really verify if this was true or not, but I think all of the 5G rumors, were started by Elon Musk. Because it quickly and easily negates his whole Skylink trash floating around in space, this stupid trash cell phone system that he's putting up.
Yeah.
I think all the 5G stuff was just Elon Musk's company, like trying to convince people that it was going to give you brain tumors or whatever, give you ball cancer.
Subterfuge from business? No.
It's a question I have. Was it Elon? I don't know. I'm just asking questions, guys. I don't know. Just asking questions.
All I
Time
can
will
say
be
is,
the judge.
yeah, bring it on. Let's go. Give me the future.
Yeah, the
future
5G
is
actually
now.
works pretty good. Here's the crazy thing: down in the Amazon, you get 4G signal because they've actually put up cell phone towers around. Now, of course, there are places you go to where there was no service, so I'd have to use my satellite hotspot. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of areas where you're down there, you're like, we're in Nowheresville, and it's like, we got 4G. Well, worst case scenario, we can at least call somebody, tell them we're sinking, So, yeah.
All right. My recommendation is 12-Foot Ninja. I've started to put out some new videos. Great, fantastic, funny Australian metal band. Very talented boys.
Nice.
Cool.
Check out 12-Foot Ninja's latest 2 videos. Very good, easy on the eyes viewing. And come and play DayZ online, ladies and gentlemen. Download Armour 2, Operation Arrowhead. Come and get some DayZ, you freaks.
All right, I got to go to bed. It's my bedtime.
Okay, see Covers.
All right, take it easy, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Welcome back. Sorry about your dog.
Oh, thank you.
Tried to do
Appreciate
a quick
it.
summary.
Condolences.
All right, bud.
All right, take care.
I got a question for you when we sign off. So yeah, stick around for just a sec.
Righto. Well, I'm going to sign off now because we're about to head down to the doctors and get these COVID vaxes finished off for the elders.
Okay.
So thanks everyone for hanging out. GRB, thanks heaps for slinging the links and stuff. Anyone who's been here the whole time, you're a lunatic. Hope you know that. You probably do. I'll say thank yous from Scunge Princess as well. I don't know where she's hiding, but she'll be, hanging around somewhere. And just thanks for coming back, even though I had a week off. And we'll see everyone next week. Or
Bye.
I would usually say, we'll see yous when we're looking at yous. Thanks, everybody. Bye.